Good morning, everyone. Match 9 of the 1975 Cricket World Cup on Brian Lara Cricket was played between Pakistan and West Indies. We said it could be the match of the tournament. Well, this is the outcome of the match. That is one of the greatest one-day matches ever played. This is only the 30th one-day international played in the 5 years of one-day games existence, and that has to go down as the greatest one-day match ever played. West Indies won the toss on a similar-looking pitch in which they played on when they played Rebel South African 11 and chased down 223 nearly about 5 or 6 days ago. They put Pakistan into bat. A great effort from the Pakistanis. 266 for 7 from their 50 overs. Majid Khan continued his good form of 60. His second 50 of the tournament. 7 for Sadiq Mohammed. 31 for Sayyid Abbas. 39 and 29 for Mushtaq Mohammed and Wasim Raja. 17 for Pervez Mir. 1 for the wicket-keeper Wasim Bari. But a quick fire 53 of 40 deliveries towards the back end of the innings from Javed Mindrad saw Pakistan to a pretty competitive score of 266 for 7. They all took wickets. They were all quite solid, actually. 31 for 1 for Clive Lloyd, 21 for 1 for Vivian Richards, 44 for 1 for Keith Boyce, Andy Roberts 47 for 1, 43 for 1 for Bernard Julian, and 56 for 1 for Van Bernholder, who was quite expensive. But look at these statistics in the run chase. It's the highest. They were all over the place. A wonderful spell from Shahbaz Nawaz, his first appearance on the tournament. Certainly came back from an ankle injury. He was utterly sensational. And first 10 overs, they were 39 for 3, and absolutely all over the place in the first 10 overs. A little partnership of nearly 50 from Ronan Kanai and Clive Lloyd got them back in, but they were 146 for 7 from 35 overs, and the game was lost. I mean, look at that thing: 12 for Fredericks, 4 for returning Gordon Greenwich, not a good start to his tournament. 16 for Alvin Kiricharan, Kanai 24, 53 off 74 deliveries from Clive Lloyd, 13 and 18 for Vivian Richards and Bernard Julian, 7 for Keith Boyce, 16 for Van Bernholder. They were 146 for 7 and the game was lost. They were 165 for 8, the game was lost. And then a nice little partnership brewed. Van Bernholder was out for 16 and they needed 204 for 9. They needed 63 runs to win off of the final 12.5 overs. All of a sudden, the game just changed from there and then. He got 58 at the top of the order when he opened. He got 58 at the top of the order of Deryck Murray when he opened the batting in the last match because of Greenwich's injury. He's hit 61 not out off 64 deliveries. And look at Andy Roberts at the end, 25 not out off 40 deliveries. He hit the winning run in the most sensational match. They put on 63 for the final wicket to nick victory by 1 wicket. I mean, look at that. This was the problem. They bowled their 2 key bowlers, Pervez Mir, who took Nazir Malik, who took 42 for 2, and Nawaz, who took 4 for 44, or got bowled out after about 38 overs. Their 2 best bowlers. And then all of a sudden, their other bowlers started running out of time. I mean, 64 for 1 for Asif Mahmood. Got hit for 30 runs in his last 3 overs, which turned the match. 46 for 1 for Javed Mindrad, who got hit for 20 runs off his final 2 overs as well. Just completely changed the game completely. 42 for 1 for Pervez Mir. And the last 2 overs were bowled by part-time bowlers Mushtaq Mohammed 7 for 0 and Wasim Raja 4 for 0. So a massive tinge of regret potentially there from Majid Khan. Probably going to get a lot of criticism from the Pakistan press for bowling out his main bowlers towards the end, but he said he wanted to be aggressive and get those final 2 wickets. I actually don't blame him, but that was from 204 for 9. They got those final 63 runs, and in the end, the West Indies won by 1 wicket with 1 ball remaining in the most sensational comeback ever you'll ever likely to see. They were 165 for 8, and they scored with their final 2 wickets. They got home by 1 wicket in the most sensational game. Final outcome: Pakistan, West Indies won the toss, selected to bat. West Indies won the toss, selected to bowl first on a arcade pitch, a similar pitch to what they played on when they played the Rebel South African 11 a few days earlier on the same ground. 266 for 7 from their 50 overs, Pakistan. The West Indies were 165 for 8. Their last 2 wickets put on 102 runs. They won by 1 wicket with 1 ball to spare. And what I have to say is probably the greatest one-day international ever played in the history of the game. Man of the match for 4 for 44, Shahbaz Nawaz for his 4 for 44, but he ends up on the losing side. He's actually the first bowler to get a Man of the Match award in this 1975 World Cup. That is probably West Indies' greatest ever win, probably in one-dayers or Test cricket, to be honest with you. They win by 1 wicket. You won't be surprised. They're top of the group. Pakistan are second. Tomorrow's match, Australia versus India. Australia looking to keep up their full 100% record, and India likewise. Australia will be favourites to win that match, having scored 328 against Sri Lanka, whereas India were unconvincing against the Dutch. However, I should point out that was played on an absolute dreadful pitch up at Nottingham. Let's have a look at the star players for both Pakistan and West Indies, see where they lie. The best game of the tournament so far. We said it would be one of the great games, and it's turned out to be the best game of the competition so far. Average now gone down to 64 for, say, Abbas, 128 runs in 2 innings. Wonderful start for Nawaz, even though he ended up on the losing side. Bowling average of 11, 4 wickets. West Indies, 15 average for Kirchivani. Hasn't had a good start to the tournament. There's an average now for Clive Lloyd. He got a 50, but he's averaging 87 with a bat and 31 with a ball. Brendan Julian, 18 with a bat and 46 with a ball. It hasn't looked overly impressive so far. 7 with a bat for Boyce and 35 with a ball. 3 wickets in 2 matches and 4 wickets in 2 matches. 22 with a ball. No average yet for Andy Roberts, but 25 not out in the most unbelievable run chase you'll ever likely to see. And 4 wickets in 2 matches for Andy Roberts to start all with, for an average of 22. So he's looked pretty good, and he's not the leading wicket taker though. 4 wickets as well in the tournament so far for Van Burn Holder as well, but he's not included as one of the star players. But that's what the averages look like for the Pakistanis on the right hand side, and the West Indians also on the right hand side of this picture. By the way, that 267 that the West Indies scored is the second highest ever run chase in all one-day internationals, the highest run chase of the World Cup so far. That, I have to say, is probably the best game in one-day international history. We've only had 30 of them, but you are not going to see a finish as close as that. That's the best game of the tournament. We said it would be a cracking game. It's turned out to be a pulsating game. How the West Indies have won that from being 165 for 8, and then they put on 102 for the final 2 wickets, and a final wicket stand that was 63 has nicked the game for Pakistan. Majid Khan's boys will be probably kicking themselves. They had West Indies. They dominate 90% of that match. The cricket from Pakistan was outstanding throughout the game. But yet, the West Indies have snatched a win. This is why the West Indies are second favourites. They never say die attitude. Clive Lloyd said, you know what, this has got to give us confidence. We are here to win this World Cup. We're not here to make up the numbers. We want to win this tournament. And playing like that, being in such a... Sometimes you're going to get yourselves in bad situations. And to come out like that, and Andy Roberts batting like a number 5, basically, almost sensational. That is one of the great games of cricket you'll ever likely to see. Tomorrow's match, Australia versus India. Sorry. Australia looking to keep up. Both teams looking to keep up their winning record. Australia looking to improve on an indifferent performance against Sri Lanka, where they batted Sri Lanka out of the game, but their bowling was a little bit sloppy. India, really disappointing run chase. They scored 100. They only needed 117 against the Dutch, if you remember, but it was a really poor effort from them. They really struggled. So you just wonder if a pitch is like that. Will Gary Gilmore play his first match tomorrow? It all depends on the conditions for the left arm swing bowler, and we'll wait and see. But you have just witnessed, and I've just witnessed one of the great games of cricket you're ever likely to see. West Indies winning by 1 wicket, an absolute thriller, on course for the quarterfinals. Tomorrow's match, Australia versus India, match 10 of the Cricket World Cup. Until then, for all of us here, from me, Lawrence Howard, we'll see you all for the next match report, which will be Australia versus India. Until then, bye-bye, everyone.